this is one of the issues where definitely in style and in their tone of their conversations, Mike Pence and Donald Trump don't communicate about this the same way. That's just a fact.
We have a special guest. Eric Trump is joining us here, fresh out of this debate. I want to get to some of that in a moment, but we did see we did see Governor Pence on the phone right after this debate. Was he talking with your dad?
You know, no. I came back here, so I would imagine so. I think my father would be incredibly proud of his performance tonight. I certainly was, as a family member sitting in the front row. I think he hit it out of the park. He was poised. He was articulate. He was strong. He wasn't interrupting every single sentence like we saw from the other side. He wasn't using the same rehearsed sound bites time and time again, which you saw. I thought Governor Pence was amazing. I really think he represented the family, and I think he represented the party incredibly well tonight.
And one extra, your quick reaction in the interview with Dana, Pence did say, I think it's inarguable that Vladimir Putin has been a stronger leader in his country than Barack Obama has been in this country. You saw that exchange that the two vice presidential candidates had. I want to get your reaction.
Yeah, my reaction is simple. Right? Our president goes over to China 2 weeks ago. China didn't even bring a staircase up to Air Force One. It was interesting. Governor Pence was giving that interview in front of Air Force One, right? China didn't even bring a staircase up to Air Force One. No red carpet, no marching band, no dignitaries, nothing. Our president came out through the service entrance of the plane. That's what other world leaders think of our country. That's what other world leaders think of our president. We've lost respect, and my father will restore respect, and Mike Pence will restore respect. And I think the comment was very valid.
Yeah.
Governor Pence was asked many times to defend and explain some of the things that your father has said, and he sidestepped and avoided a lot of those opportunities to do that. Now, some would say that he didn't take the bait, like frankly your father did last week, but on the other hand, he also decided not to defend your father and some of the things he said. Were you, as Donald Trump's son, were you disappointed? Would you have liked Mike Pence to defend him more?
This is playbook 101 for the Clinton campaign. It's been their entire life, right? Distract. The reality is Hillary Clinton has been a politician longer than I've been alive, if you can believe it. If you look at her track record, whether it be Syria, Libya, the entire Middle East, Iraq, ISIS, the Russian reset, if you go back to her time as a senator where she said she was going to create 200,000 jobs in upstate New York, and you know what the net effect of that was? That by the time she left the Senate, New York State and upstate New York had lost an additional 8,000 jobs, right? You look at the Clinton Foundation and the wreck that it is. It might be one of the greatest Ponzi schemes in history. You look at the email controversy. You look at...
Eric, you're doing what your father didn't do, which is pivot to what Clinton did or didn't do. But my question for you,
she should be prosecuted on the case, right? I hear this garbage. Oh, Trump has business interests in Russia.
But Mike Pence was specifically asked to defend your father, and he declined to do so.
I think Mike did an amazing job tonight. I think the governor did an absolutely amazing job, not only defending, but also putting the arguments back on them, because you know what? As Secretary of State, as Senator of New York, right? She has done an absolutely terrible job, and it's cost our nation trillions of dollars. It's cost our nation thousands and thousands of lives.
There's a lot of talk tonight about federal income taxes. Can you just put this to rest? Has your father paid federal income taxes?
We pay a tremendous amount of taxes, and beyond
federal income taxes,
and beyond taxes, we also employ tens of thousands of people. The difference between my father and Hillary Clinton is Hillary Clinton has lived off of the government her entire life. She's never created.
Eric, my question though is, has he paid federal income taxes over the last 18 years? Yes or no?
Of course, yes, absolutely. My father pays a tremendous amount of tax. We as a company pay a tremendous amount of tax. We as a company also hire a tremendous amount of people, which leads to people being able to provide for their families, people being able to take care of their families, people being able to educate their children. If you look at Hillary, on the other hand, she has never signed the front of a check once. She's never balanced the budget.
So if we ever see your father's income taxes, it will show that he has paid federal income taxes.
There's no question about it. We pay tremendous taxes as...
Will we see it?
Well, listen, when the audit is over, my father will release it.
Have you seen his tax returns?
And quite frankly, when is she going to release the hundreds of speeches that she gave to special interests? When is she going to release the hundreds of speeches that she gave to Wall Street? Where are those speeches? Why won't she release them? When is she going to release the 33,000 emails
Have you seen federal income taxes?
that she deleted after, quite frankly, lying to the Department of Justice, lying to the FBI, and also lying to Congress?
Eric, I'm pretty impressed, actually.
You should show up
because
at
you
the
haven't
debate
been exactly. You haven't been in politics that long, and you're doing the pivot quite well. If you can just put a button on this. Have you seen your father's income taxes?
Yeah, I don't study your tax returns. That's why you
No,
haven't.
but have you seen them? I mean,
Of course you see tax returns.
no,
I don't.
have you seen your father's tax returns?
I'm
And
answering the
you're
question.
confident?
Of course I've seen my father's tax
He's
returns.
paid federal taxes.
My father pays a tremendous amount of tax. As a company, we pay a tremendous amount of tax, and it goes so far beyond federal income taxes. How about real estate taxes? How about employment taxes? How about sales taxes? How about every other type of tax that goes into that? We pay a tremendous amount of tax as a company. That is very, very, very different than Hillary Clinton, who's lived off the government for the last 40 years.
John King has a question, but very quickly, why not release the income tax returns that are no longer under audit?
Listen, my father said when the audits are over, he will release the taxes. My father's also said, hey, listen, Hillary Clinton, why don't you release the 33,000 emails you deleted, and why don't you release your speech transcripts, and when you do, I'll release my tax returns. And this is a whole distraction.
Because
I mean, this is
2002 and
absolutely-
2008 are no longer under audit.
I don't know if that's true.
That's what the attorneys, Morgan Lewis, the law firm for Donald
quite frankly,
has said that
well,
only
you know
for
something that I don't.
Only for when they released the public letter, Morgan Lewis. That's a major.
Now, why don't you look at the actual financial disclosures, the hundreds of pages he put out? My father has an amazing company, and he's built an amazing company. We have some of the best hotels in the world. We have some of the best real estate buildings in the world, some of the best and biggest golf courses in the world. Hey, you know so many of the projects. You've seen them be built over, the last decade or 2 decades. He has an amazing company. He's built a tremendous company. He's employed thousands and thousands of people, and that's very, very different than somebody who's lived their entire existence profiting off of the government. The one question I have for you guys is, Hillary went from being dead broke when she left the White House, Hillary and Bill, to being worth $250 million. And the question I have for the three of you is, what product has she ever sold? What is she selling that she went from nothing to $250 million in a 15-year period of time? And we all know the answer.
We don't answer for Hillary Clinton.
That's-
The campaign does, but I urge you to show up at your father's debate practice because you do have a skill set here. But frankly, I think a lot of people think he could have, if he had done some of this
I like this
last debate.
3-on-1. At least we're having a little fun tonight, all right?
So you're sitting in the front row for the debate.
I am.
They're here with the Pence family to represent your dad, to represent the campaign. When Tim Kaine was not just prosecuting your father, in trying to make his case about your father, saying your father would have a conflict of interest as president, or at least he might, until we see the taxes, your name came up, and your brother's. Let's listen.
The Trump Organization is an octopus-like organization with tentacles all over the world, whose conflict of interest could only be known if Donald Trump would release his tax returns. He's refused to do it. His sons have said that the organization has a lot of business dealings in Russia. And remember, the Trump Organization is not a nonprofit. It's putting money into Donald Trump's pockets and into the pockets of his children, whereas the Clinton Foundation is a nonprofit, and no Clinton family member draws any salary.
I want you to respond, and if you can, please, be as specific as you can about the company's dealings in Russia, and specifically to the point, Russian banks or any Russian investors. Do you owe money to people in Russia?
It's such a nonsense soundbite. I listened to this nonsense about tentacles. We built an amazing company. America should be proud of people who build great companies. That's what America's all about. It's about building, and it's about success, and it's about jobs, and it's about creating the American dream, right? Henry Ford, and I mean, that's what America is about. We should be proud of that. So talk about tentacles all over the world. We have no assets in Russia. That was a nonsense statement.
Any debts?
We have no assets in Russia. We have no debt in Russia. I haven't been to Russia in like 6-7 years off the top of my head. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. I mean, it's nonsense. I think we held Miss Universe in Russia 1 year. I think that's the extent of our business dealings. We have no hotels. We have no golf assets. We have no residential buildings. We don't have properties in Russia. So to come out here, and I think that's what the American people are fed up with. It's these sound bites, it's these lies, it's the disingenuous nature of it. It's referring to a great company that employs thousands of hardworking Americans as a company that's nefarious, that has tentacles all over the place.
Do you understand the power, though, if your father did release his taxes and laid them out there and say, to your point, here's the papers, they're lying. They're making this up, it doesn't exist. So why would he do it?
Tax return wouldn't show so many of those things anyway. I mean, that's the interesting
They're trying to make the point that there are loans.
If you want to know if we have assets in Russia, go look to see if our name's on a building. Go look to see if we own any property there. We're a real estate company. We're a bricks and mortar company. Go see if we have anything in Russia. The reality is we don't. I mean, we just don't. But it doesn't matter. Look at the Clinton Foundation just for a second, right? The U.S. government sold 20% of the uranium stockpile, the material used to make nuclear weapons, to Russia. 2 weeks later, the Clinton Foundation gets $145 million from the Russian business people who put that deal together. Bill Clinton has been to Moscow a number of times. He's been paid $500,000 to give speeches on so many occasions in Russia. I mean, her ties to Russia are deep. There's no question about it. Anybody who's ever looked at the Clinton Foundation knows that their ties to Russia are incredibly substantial. We have nothing in Russia. This is pure garbage.
Final question: how's your dad preparing for the second presidential debate Sunday night?
Yeah, well, he's preparing, and he's surrounding himself with great people, and my father's going to be himself, and he's not going to be the staged candidate that I think you saw tonight. I mean, how many times were the same catchy little sound bites thrown out over and over and over? You know he memorized those sound bites. You know they were on a flashcard somewhere, and they were being practiced in front of the
Talking
mirror.
about Tim Kaine, not Mike Pence, right?
There's no question, Tim Kaine. And that's not who my father is. My father speaks from the heart, and I think you saw Mike Pence speak from the heart, and I'm so proud of what my father's accomplished. He's done an unbelievable job, and we're going to win. We are going to win come November 8th. There's just no question about it.
Eric, thanks so much for joining us.
Well,
Eric Trump.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Jeff Zeleny, you've got a special guest as well.